Another day, and yet another murdered or missing Indigenous woman who some people just seem to want you to forget. Hello, true crimerers. This is the case of Kaysera Stops Pretty Places. Viewer discretion is advised. Kaysera Stops Pretty Places, which is a really cool name, was a 18-year-old Indigenous woman who lived in Bighorn County, Montana. Everyone who knew Kaysera said she was always happy, always had a smile on her face. She seemed to be everyone's cheerleader. She would always put her friends and family before herself. She cared deeply for others. She was described as a responsible young adult, and she was very active in the community, the local community, and very active within her tribe. It was August 24th, 2019. Kaysera was invited to a party at a local friend's house there in Bighorn County, Montana. I guess specifically in the city of Hardin, Montana. The plan was that she was going to go to this party, have a good time, and likely just crash there that night and then come home the following day. But she did not come home the following morning, or the following afternoon, or the following evening. According to, I guess, friends at the party or witnesses from the party, it was then in the very early morning hours now of August 25th, 2019, where Kaysera was seen outside of the home that she was at for this party, which I guess was located on Rangeview Drive. She was observed outside with two of her teenage friends and also a 23-year-old man. And again, she's 18 years old at the time of the story. Some witnesses claim that an argument broke out amongst this little group. I guess they got loud and a neighbor nearby decided to flash their lights and I guess set off their car alarm just to get them to these people to stop yelling. And so I guess Kaysera and this little group just sort of kind of bolted in different directions, which stopped this argument that they were having. Whatever that argument is really unknown. And then Kaysera was seen going back into the backyard of the house where the party was at. So, when her family realizes that Kaysera is missing and no one can really seem to say exactly what happened to her or where she went from this party, her family, her grandmother who she lived with, tried to report her missing because Kaysera was not someone who would just not call, not show up. This was very unusual because who knows her best? Her own family, right? But police couldn't, I guess, be bothered by it. They didn't even file an actual report or anything. They did nothing. They basically just told the grandma, just, you know what? Figure it out yourself. The following day, on August 25th, now one of Kaysera's aunts goes to the police station and says, okay, she's still missing. It's been about 24 hours now, and she's still gone. Apparently, the Bighorn Sheriff's Department, whoever they spoke to, said, well, there's a waiting period. You gotta wait a few days before we can report her missing, which actually in Montana is not true. Not true at all. There's no waiting period. 4 days later, August 29th, 2019, a man was just driving around this neighborhood, the same neighborhood where Kaysera was last seen at the party, and he notices something kind of what appears to be sort of on the side of the road, kind of near a fence, like a chain link fence. He gets close and realizes it's a body. It's a female body. So he alerts police immediately, and the police go and they collect the body. And it's essentially right next to the backyard where Kaysera was at that party. He's right there at that backyard. Here's the crazy part. She wasn't like decomposed, and you could still see pretty clear identification on who this person was. Police didn't notify the family at all. They didn't notify Kaysera's family, despite at this point now knowing that Kaysera is a missing person, knowing they've seen her pictures. They didn't tell her family. You want to know when they told her family? September 11th. We're talking weeks after she was found. They didn't tell them until then. The coroner did, I guess, a routine autopsy. They found no toxins. They found no drugs in her system. There was no illnesses or anything like that. There was no injuries that would have maybe been caused by an accident. They couldn't rule out things like asphyxiation, but there was allegedly no stab wounds, no bullet wounds. She could have also been beaten, but they never listed anything like that in the report. And then it gets so much worse. The coroner who did the autopsy, I guess, was the county coroner who apparently owned the morgue himself. His name was Terry Bullis. He said that Kaysera's body had to be cremated before even asking the family. Her grandmother, her uncles, cousins, none of them were notified that the coroner was planning to cremate her. I guess Kaysera's mom was told the plan was to cremate her by this coroner, but she said, "No, you will not cremate my daughter. We have our religious beliefs. We do not want her cremated. We do not consent." He did it anyway. He cremated her body anyway. And you know what happens when you cremate a human body that may have been murdered? All of that evidence is gone now. Forever. You can't get it back. So, no one can exhume the body and say, well, we want a second opinion on this autopsy. No one can confirm whether or not maybe she was beat to death. Now we can't say if she was asphyxiated. I guess a witness told Kaysera's family that when Kaysera's body was recovered, the witness, I guess, saw it. They saw one of the officers take a cell phone out of Kaysera's pocket. The friend thought they were taking the cell phone out to call and notify the family, but that never happened. So what were they doing with her cell phone? Here is where it gets a little even shadier. Allegedly, a few days before Kaysera's death, Kaysera posted a video somewhere. I can't exactly say for sure where, but it was video of a police officer or a sheriff's deputy abusing her brother. To what degree, I'm not sure. But Kaysera had video evidence of this. And then a few days later, she's found dead. The autopsy is vague, with no real, true cause of death listed. They're not saying homicide, they're saying undetermined. And then they cremate her body, despite the family saying, you will not cremate her body. That is shady as shit. Apparently the coroner did do some due diligence, I guess. I guess they scraped under her fingernails before they cremated her, and I guess they found no traces of DNA, so no evidence that she had scratched maybe an attacker. Now, I do want to say, the video evidence of the police abusing her brother, that has yet to be actually confirmed, so take it with that. It may not be true, but according to some witnesses, it is very much true. Could have absolutely nothing to do with the police. Maybe the police in this case are just really bad at their jobs. Or maybe they legitimately didn't have any evidence. You can't just focus on them being shady, because also Kaysera was seen arguing with a group of people. She was found right behind that backyard of the house where the party she was at. That would indicate possibly someone in that household or at that party did something to her, not police. I guess I have just a lot of mixed emotions about this because just obviously of a lot of things here, but I have very little to really say in terms of the information because things weren't collected properly. Her entire body was cremated, so now we'll literally never know how she died, what killed her. That's a huge thing to know, and so now they will never know. Was it the police retaliating for some video that allegedly was taken? Possibly. Was it these friends she was arguing with outside of the house where the party was at? Possibly. Was it maybe the person who threw the party in general? Had they talked to him? Apparently they have, but there's not a lot of information on what these people have all said. Information is very scarce on this. What I do understand is that there are, I guess, new police working on the case, I think, but there's nothing new to report on it. This was, a few years ago now. It's just so frustrating when you have stories like this. It seems like a victim, another Indigenous woman, is killed in some regard, and it just seems to be like, meh, let's not bother with it. Like, why? Why is that the case? Why is it? I've never understood why Indigenous women, especially, get this level of disservice. I don't get it. She was a person. She was an 18-year-old child, basically. She had barely experienced adult life, and she goes to a party to have fun and then winds up dead. And now we don't know how she died, why she died. We don't know who did it. Are police truly investigating this still? Unfortunately, this is just a very vague ending to the story. And that is, unfortunately, the story with so many cases like this with Indigenous women. And it has to stop. It has to stop. If you do have any information with regards to this case, again, it's only a few years old, so there's people out there who know what happened. Someone knows. Someone is out there that knows. And maybe that person is you. You can always report information anonymously. You can contact the Bighorn Sheriff's Department if you feel comfortable doing that. You can always email them, report things anonymously. I just hope that if you do report something, I hope they actually take that information and do something with it. But that is it for this case, unfortunately. True Crime-a-roonies. Hope you found it interesting. As usual, if you have tripped, fallen, and stumbled your way into this video, hello, I'm Mike. I tell 4 true crime stories a week here on YouTube. I also tell one on Instagram, Facebook, and a few throughout the week over on TikTok. Please subscribe to me here, like the video so it gets pushed out to the universe. And then if you'd like to follow me on my other socials, the link to all of them is in my link tree in the description of this video below. If you have a case you want me to cover, please email me at mikey@truecrimerer.com, also in the description below if you forget. And then once I get that name, I can add it to my list to eventually cover. I pick my cases at random, so it will happen. I just don't know when. Next, if you want to support me in any way, we do sell merch like this shirt, the Making a True Crimerer one, plus other designs and things. Also in the link tree below, we do ship internationally. And then if you have a Discord account and you want to join my Discord server, please feel free to do so. Also in the link tree below. Broken record here. Please be over the age of 18 or else you will be kicked out of that joint. All right? Thank you. But that is it for this video. True Crime-a-rooney-dooney-ding-dongs. So, as I end every video, who wants to watch me eat my fist? I'm going to fist my... That was not the correct word choice. Fist myself. Okay, bye.